are missing. We are missing the scribe. All right, yeah, love it. Okay, call this meeting to order, 7:32. Because we are on Zoom, we have to take attendance. So let's see, I'll go around the table. Allison Bryan,
Present.
Jackie Lorenzo,
Present.
Katie Campbell,
Present.
Tim Bernico, present. All right, there's four. There may be people joining us as we get going. Okay, first thing is to approve the meeting minutes. Did everybody see, get a chance to look at the meeting minutes? Any commentary on that?
Set this credit.
All right, can I get a motion to accept the
Got the
meeting minutes
motion, you need a
as
second.
presented? Is there a second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor? Aye,
Aye.
Aye.
all right, unanimous.
Excellent.
We got Julie in the room too.
Oh, Julie's here, okay, sweet. Julie's present.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, Julie.
Hey,
Do you want to go back to Jeremy?
Yeah, let's go to the field project updates. All right, so one of the project updates that we are talking about ad nauseum is the Milliken Shed, and we've got Jeremy DeBona, the president of the Cohasset Youth Soccer, who's going to give us an update.
Okay, as you know, like we talked before, that we started this project in 2014. The Teriakis did an architectural design, a drawing, pro bono for the rec department, he told me, back then. So basically, it was taking the existing shed that we have and just, enlarged it a little slightly to have 2 bathrooms in there, 2 handicap bathrooms, a kitchen and a small storage area. We got the money from CPC back in 2015 or 16 for 230,000, something like that, I believe. Where Cohasset Youth Soccer on top of that was gonna give 30,000, rec department 25,000. Across was supposed to put 5,000, the school was supposed to put 5,000, but.
There was some baseball work done.
Yes.
Baseball included in some of the high school.
That's how they got the batting
baseball.
cages put in. The batting cages were done with some of that money.
Yeah.
So they took a rendering, we didn't have architect plans, actual architect plans. Tom Powers at the time, got someone else to draw something up. It went out to bid, it came in at $580,000 to build it. So we didn't have the funds. So it went back to square one. They said, okay, we need to have an actual architect with engineer drawings. I think they spent about $30,000 doing that. Some architect up in Beverly, I believe it was. He did the drawings, came back, went out to bid, it was like still $500,000. Okay. The problem we were having is it's such a small project, and because it's a town project, you have to pay prevailing wage when it goes out to bid. And the plumbing, they told me, was coming in at like $180,000 when it should be like at $40,000. So obviously we went back to square one. What do we do? We had a meeting at the water department and we talked about the module, these metal buildings, you said they were supposed to have the seafood and beer garden
Yeah.
down here.
Yeah.
So Jason, the engineer, talked, town engineer, talked to those people, went out to them. They gave us a quote. It's gonna come in $100,000. It was gonna have, it was just gonna be a couple bathrooms and the kitchen area, and we were still gonna keep the existing shed where we're at and just storage. They, going back and forth, the town dragged their feet a little, so no one would sign any paperwork. They needed a deposit. By the time we finally got the deposit down, the building inspector called down there, like they had no one to outsource some of the work. It came back, it wasn't gonna be up to code. They found someone in Atlanta, Georgia to do it. So the beer garden and us, it just went to wayside. So now we're back to, what do we do here? We have this money, so meanwhile, the neighbors up there were complaining about our shed because they told us not to put any money into it. It's just a waste of money. And finally, they got to the town and they said, you need to fix the shed. So we spent $30,000, we re-sided the whole thing, re-roofed it, did some electrical work inside. Ready to do some landscaping, because the plan was still, they were gonna build an additional building near the telephone pole where the sprinkler systems were, and we were just gonna keep the shed. They wanted to scrap that now. There we go. let's just keep one building. So what we came up with, I found the original drawings from 2014. Went back and said, okay, they had 2 bathrooms in it. Can we do it? So we brought Bob Barrows in, local, so he works for himself. So came back, we didn't have to pay prevailing wage because he's his own employee, so we're good there. So he looked at it, said, yeah, this definitely can be done, because he's the one who did the siding and the re-roofing for me and all that stuff. So we met with the building inspector, a couple other people that came up, said, yeah, this is good, you know, we just have to put a ramp around it, you know, and things like that. Okay, now we need drawings. So we're gonna get drawings, and the other thing that we're gonna do is gonna build an additional, you know where the baseball shed is?
Yeah.
So they said, oh, we'll get rid of that, we'll build a twice the size shed,
Oh,
so
you-
soccer and baseball.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
We went up there and met with Sarah McSweeney and Jim Soderberg, we looked at it. They're really using the shed, all they're doing is storing a tractor in there. And a couple little other things, so we came to the thing, we could take half, they could take half, we don't, the town doesn't have to buy a new shed. All they have to do is put some money in for some electricity in there, there's no electric lights inside. Right now, there is a meter there, but it's for the scoreboard. So, but there is no, and so we said we need outside lights and stuff like that, and some new doors and a wall inside to, you know, segregate everything. Not a problem, much cheaper than buying,
Yeah, right.
you know, Reed's Berry shed, because they called down there to look at it. So I got, so now the building permit, they need drawings, so I reached out to Teriyaki again. At first, he was, you know, he wasn't sure if he wanted to do it, but now he's willing to come up and do it, so. Now I'm trying to schedule everyone to come up there. Meanwhile, while this is all going, I guess procurement asked capital for an additional $100,000. It was approved in the last town meeting
Yeah, special, great.
for it. I think right now with the 100,000, and I think with the rec department's money, the 25, I think it's around 230,000, 240 or something like that in the budget to do this, you know, with landscaping and everything around it. But capital now wants 3 bathrooms in there. They want us to try to squeeze 3 bathrooms in the building. They want a men's, a women's, and a handicap. And then they wanted 2 urinals each one. This is getting out of hand here, so can we just, you know, cut it down to 1 urinal in each, you know, 1 toilet in each one, in the handicap. So the
How
final,
about 2 bathrooms that have handicap accessibility?
that's what we originally were gonna do, 2 handicap bathrooms, 1 toilet in each one.
Yeah.
Keep it simple.
Yeah.
These capital all of a sudden wants big ones, where have they been the whole time? So that's why we need Teriyaki to come up there and do the drawings, because it might not be by code, we might have to have 2 handicaps anyways. So we only have so much room in that shed,
Yeah,
to put
right.
it that way. You know, we could shrink the concession stand a little side, and we could shrink some of the storage area, and part of the storage area is gonna be a separate entrance for the sprinkler system up there at Milliken. Right now, it's over by the telephone pole, but everything's in underground in a well. So it floods every year and this, that, and costs about 25,000 to fix. They haven't fixed it in the last couple of years. So they're supposed to bring that whole system over into the shed, which would save the town a lot more money. The other issue they have is sewer hookup and water hookup, and the water department said they will waive the $30,000 hookup fee. On condition that I don't cook fatty foods inside the shed. That wasn't planning, you know, no hamburgers, this, that, I mean, a grill outside, fine, but not, I can't have anything going down the sink. They're saying, you know, with fats and grease and all that stuff, which wasn't the plan. And the other thing what the town's gonna do, because they already have under contract, electrician, a plumber, and the site people, so anything that's under $50,000, it does not have to go out to bid. So because they already have the contract pricing, so they know it's gonna cost. So IRA, I think, would do the, you know, the landscaping around, you know, rip out the sewer connections, you know, the town electrician, town plumber, whoever was on call, would work with Bob Barrows. And we can get this thing done. So I'm trying, like I said, I'm trying to coordinate the town, the Teriyaki, the builder, and everybody. And then now the town's just going to get a date and I'll make it happen.
Is Teriyaki gonna do it for free again? Pro bono?
That, the town said she'd pay for it, you know, this is a.
Well, because you got that extra 100, that extra 100 could go towards his plans.
It could be, I mean, again, all they don't need a detailed plan, they just need
Yeah,
a
just
drawing
drawing.
showing. Here are the bathrooms, which I have, but now we need to put the ramp in. And then where the snack bar was, you know.
Yeah.
They need a, you know, step up there, because I had Bob cover both windows, because it was just easier to, I can always cut a hole in the
Sure,
window, you
yeah.
know. So, it's just a step up there, and you know, like I said, we already had the electrical updated there, some of it will have to be redone a little more.
Yeah.
And then bringing the plumbing and the water heater,
Yeah.
air conditioning, not. There'll be a dual heater.
Yeah, like whatever those things are, yes, that's,
The town, the capital was more like, why are we doing a shed for them to make money? You know, in the concession stands, I'm like,
they're not, they're putting the shed in so there can be 3 bathrooms. so that
we
people
don't
can
make
use-
any money, I lose money every year on concessions, it's just for the kids to get. A drink, candy, you know, something after they pick up, but again, it's a good thing for the town to have, because. Now they have a lacrosse jamborees, it can be used, you know, they have baseball games, you know, you know, the high school, they have the tennis courts, you know, going tennis matches, so. Trying to explain that to them, which, you know, they're okay now about that, so. Yeah, so that's where, you know, she wanted to start it, but I can't do anything until we get the drawings done. And once the drawings go. The building inspector said he'll sign off on it right away.
Good.
And then Bob can start.
Yeah.
Cut it, he just needs to know where the sewer lines are gonna come in, so, and where the water heater and all that stuff, because obviously we need hot water coming in. Into the building, so. That's where we
So you're there,
stand,
you're there, you're right there.
we're close,
Yeah.
yeah, materials are coming down though, so.
We started talking about when I was 70, I'm 81 now, I figured I'd be 90 before it's done.
Oh, you're gonna outlive this.
I'll let you use the bathroom
As
first.
we know.
The general direction is non-binary bathrooms. Like,
Well, we wanted men's, women, and I said, why? And then I didn't want the 2 toilets, because we got little kids up there, and I don't need someone going in with a kid. I'd rather just say, okay, you walk in, one person walk
It's
into
a one holer and that's what you do.
Exactly, you know, keep it simple.
Wait in line.
And the other thing they're talking about, which I'm trying to get, she was gonna get prices, on the outside of the shed, a water bottle fill station.
Oh.
Because right now, there is a bubbler up there, but they never turned it on.
Yeah.
And I know, Coach Willis was not happy that the town never put it on, but this would be a filter system. I know Hull has it.
Yeah.
Talking to Michelle, what the cost is, that's what we gotta figure out, but at the end of the day, it's better, the kids can just refill.
And they
bottles.
put a ton of them in the school, they put like 3 of them in the school in the last 2 or 3 years.
I think they have a couple.
Yeah, we had one, but it was expensive.
It's not cheap, but again,
About 5,000 we spent.
but again, that's something like,
It's it's not,
from the soccer, if it's not in the budget, I will pay for, you know what I mean?
yeah, it's not.
As a soccer, but I just, you know, we wanna build it in that way. It just makes sense to have it up there and, you know, we can control it, because it could be winterized and all that shut down.
Yeah.
I mean, again, we don't know the whole logistics, because technically the Cohasset Soccer Club owns the shed. Now I'm donating the shed to the town, basically. But my biggest thing is trying to get a lease from the town. Just like how baseball has a lease, I want a lease, you know, to manage or whoever manages the shed. I mean, I think it would fall under the rec department managing the shed, I would think. Cause you guys run Milliken Field,
Yeah, I mean, it's always been soccer. And
Yeah.
soccer built it.
Yeah.
Built both parts to it, so.
so.
It'll not be a project.
Write the lease that way, write the lease.
Yeah. It's just like baseball.
Yeah, should write the lease the same way as baseball, like soccer.
Yeah, I mean, again, like I said, I'm not trying to make money on the concession stand. If lacrosse wants to use it, the high school wants to use it, it's there, you know, at the end of the day. You know?
And you can control who gets in and out, so that's easy, that's not hard.
They can do the lock, so you can lock, have time lock on it.
Yeah, exactly, it can be controlled by a phone, whatever, you know,
Yeah.
computerized locks, this, that, there'd be obviously keys behind it, just in case. Cause the town's gonna need to get into it,
Sure.
someone's gotta clean the bathrooms, those logistics after, you know. Try to get built, you know, at the end of the day, I mean, it's not gonna be anything fancy. I mean,
The neighborhood issue was, that people were just gonna be stopping there using the bathroom.
they use,
Or go to Derek's house.
they use the porta potty, I see the FedEx people, they stop, and use it, but there's no more porta potties up there. You know, at this point, I mean, yeah,
So we're gonna need, I gotta work on that, because, he was not expected to see those again after he.
It's,
That's, yeah, we're gonna need porta potties this spring.
Unless it's done for some reason. You know, because
We're gonna probably put it closer to the shed. In the blind spot area.
it doesn't matter.
This would be a little further to the right. It'll be more visible for you, actually. Those whole field stuff.
Quick question.
Yeah.
So the town wants the bathrooms open 24/7?
No,
Oh, okay, all right.
No,
That
that's
seems
what-
like a nighttime.
no, that's why they want to lock, they want to lock and key. They want to have access to only open certain times of the day, this is that. I mean, truthfully, it only should be open after school when the kids are using the field, then it locks. It does, whatever.
dark.
Yeah, if someone goes up there, make sure, or just locks with his cameras up there, you know. And I do want to put Wi-Fi up there, you know,
Yeah.
for people, you know, which I would pay. You know, I've already paid all the electricity up there and everything else. You know, I build it into the budget at the end of the day, but again, I don't know about these, you know, the handicap paths and all that stuff that should be built up there. I know they haven't done those, right?
At least it's short from the gate to the rear shed, so.
Right,
I think there was a push to get. One from the gate to the tennis court.
it's supposed to be.
Chris is the one that kind of gave me a quote, and it was kind of high. You know, it's that 40 place stone dust that.
Yeah.
Would go all on the fence line, which should be great for the weeds, but most of it end up going down the hill like.
Well, again, if they ever do this field study, like they said, they want to put walking paths around the field. And with gym equipment,
Oh, yeah.
like Hull has. I'm like, why do we need gym equipment? This doesn't make any sense to leave outside. So Hull has it. And the seniors like it, all that stuff. It's been requested
Yeah,
here.
they want to put it, they want to put, Blue Cross Blue Shield wants to put one right here at the sort of
Oh, really?
corner of the, right, the train track. Want to put up the thing, 85,000.
And you watch it, no one's gonna use it, it's just sit there, it's the end of the day, but. I mean, yeah, they were very excited about the field study, you know, they were very gung ho to get that voted on, and all of a sudden. That fell apart, you know, they were trying to put the additional parking down the side street, but they found out it was private
Well, to
way.
be continued, right, because they just got some money at special.
We told them, yeah, right off the bat.
To keep going with Activitas, so they're re-engaging with Activitas to kind of wrap it up, you know, in the next, I don't know. It's gotta get done before time.
Well, again, they've already had a field study,
Right.
so you know.
Yeah, this is the addendum.
But it is like I said to them, I mean, to add the additional field. You don't have parking, what good is it at the end of the day?
And if you're gonna have more space for more people to come there, but
Right.
no extra parking. you
Right.
can't.
And right now, the idea is to come through the water tower. You know. Who knows, if that'll ever work, not work, and I don't know what the lizards or frogs.
Yeah,
whatever
the
about that.
Salamanders.
Salamanders, that's what it
Salamanders are
is.
still living there, so.
He's down next to third base, maybe it's, they just be tough with Pleasant Street entrance, no one's gonna buy it, except for restaurants.
Which is not a bad thing,
That's perfect.
Well,
Don't tell the
they-
buses.
but part of that, you know, if you probably saw the images that they were talking about. There'd be a bridge from the high school over and stuff like that, a walkway,
Yeah, well, right.
you know, so you can park at the high school. Yeah, they want to redo the high school. so-
Yeah, that's on the thing too, it's like, yeah. they
That's-
wanna push it.
That's been denied.
Well, it's,
It
the
has
first
been.
application for denied, that is not over, that is not over.
So, but that is the point, that's, you know, that's all I have on the shed right now until,
That's great, that's a lot more information than we expected.
well,
I gotta be
just
honest.
trying to get in touch with the town.
Yeah,
You know, she had me, I had to drive all the way to the Cape, she wanted me to look at a RV. So I looked at that, it was down in Bourne, you know, that they could transfer into bathrooms and stuff like that. And drive around, because that was the other thing, the town was looking to buy a trailer. You know, these porta potty trailers. And just have it and then move it after season, and then they can bring it to the alumni field, they can bring it down to the road race, they could have it everywhere, they would own it. And then with the snack van, you know, this trailer, I'm like, I don't want to deal with a snack trailer, this trailer, that trailer, this is just crazy. But they give credit, they try to look at a lot of different.
yeah,
things.
thinking outside the box, I guess, right? Yeah.
So, any other questions?
No, that's great info.
Hey, Julie, you all set? You get all that?
I did, except for, I think I missed the approval of the last meeting minutes, what the vote was on that.
I got that for you.
You have that.
If you have any questions for Jeremy.
Oh, no, I'm all set. Jeremy, thank you very much. Very clear.
Yeah, thank Thanks for coming. That
Hey,
was-
Jim, I'm gonna send the permits out tomorrow for you and McCross and high school for the spring. Get it back by February and then,
Well, yeah, that's the other issue. Who knows, we might have to use the field earlier, you know, because alumni is not gonna be ready.
gotta wait for April 8th. That's dry out first.
They gotta glue the stuff down and meet over 40 degrees, they glue the drop down.
You gotta, you know, you gotta
Biggest
start it though.
Joke
You
in the
absolutely,
history of the world.
you absolutely have to start it
That company.
in the middle of November.
Oh, rad, oh,
Absolutely.
they bullied them in.
Of course they did.
They had no work at back, they had all their backlogs in the summer. They knew they had Cohasset by you know what, and they said, you don't do it, you're off the books. Cause they're doing BC right now too,
Yeah,
You know, but-
and that's not gonna be too busy.
but they're doing the stadium, so they can, that's winter work they can do, you know, they don't have to put turf down, and stuff like that. So they knew they had
And
Cohasset,
they're gonna do the turf when you should do the turf in the
Right.
spring.
exactly.
Right.
And again, it wasn't the school, they got bullied, the town got bullied into doing it early and. So that's gonna throw everything off, because they're supposed to have a jamboree up there in March. You know, the high school lacrosse jamboree,
Mhm.
they usually rent it out to Fullard.
Yeah.
You know, for a weekend, and so that's not gonna happen. The Turf looks nice though.
Yeah, looks great. No, it's nice and green, white lines.
But, so.
Lot of weight. Those things holding everything down.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
What a joke.
Yeah, they did not do it correctly. I mean, where they really messed up when I told them. Because everything's now internet based and all these, you know, cameras that they use for the high school, you know. They based off Wi-Fi, they should have ran a high connection all the way on the other side of the field before they did anything, before they did the turf. Get it all up to date correctly. So now you have connections right to, you know, right to the internet. Because the Wi-Fi is not strong enough to handle all the cameras and we just spent, I donated $33,000 for the cameras for the soccer, the varsity soccer, the boys and girls that fall during the game, so they can record and it can feed out to live. You know, if anybody can
So
watch,
much of wherever.
but the problem is the Wi-Fi is not strong enough in the school. I mean, granted, they haven't fixed the. You know, the press block is one, but that's where the thinking's not done at the end of the day. It is what it is, you know. Okay,
All right, thanks, man.
Thank
That was
you.
good. Yeah, great, thanks,
have
Sharon.
a good one.
Yeah, good
Enjoy the
luck.
rest.
Nice meeting you. Good luck.
It's a lot to come.
No problem.
Believe it when I see it.
Jack's gonna be the first guy,
Yeah,
first
he
guy
is.
to use it.
Thanksgiving, I still, we're gonna have to give the next meeting, we're still waiting, we're still chasing 3 people and we're chasing 1 sponsor. So once we get that done, we can get that. I actually had a college kid over Christmas break, go through all the bids, you know, pick them up, we didn't pick them up, we actually were down 2 runners, than what we originally said, so. Look at the number there, we said,
825.
more the finishers, I think we have, you know, so that did change, I'll say 25 still number. So we'll do a final recap and then. The goal is to, you know, obviously, once we do that, we'll send a check to the Chatham Fund. And then the Chatham Fund is we're gonna ask them to help us start the Friends of Cohasset Rec. With a few checks for like a separate bank account. I have started reaching out to former board members about being on the official Friends of Cohasset Rec. You know, so I saw Jenny today, Jenny, I said, you have to be once a year. So Kim, reach out to Todd. We'll just go with former board members. So we start the Friends of Cohasset Rec. We actually return the money to you next year at the race. But it would be, try to do a golf tournament this fall. You know, so once we get this done and like I said, I think we need a PO box, a big account. And we start to talk about getting attorneys to review it real quick before we submit it to Secretary of State, but it's under 1,000, I'm thinking. Just a setup account for the money we're gonna give you from the Thanksgiving Day programs. Or the Chatham Fund, because we can't write a check from the town.
Right.
But they can.
I think we're reliable on it. Yeah.
Okay. Winter 2023 plans. I did give you guys, you know, I mean, have a chance, you know, at 6 o'clock tonight, I was supposed to have a parent open house for any parents to ask, you know, one time for parents to come in and ask questions about their kids working for us. Nobody showed up, but I actually pulled this up real quick and is what we presented in 2020 to two parents that came. It's actually a 2019 staff photo, so I gotta play with it. But when you get a chance to take a look at it, I do wanna. Reboot it, probably put some new photos in here, definitely put the new staff picture. Yeah, I was gonna do it freehand if anyone showed up this morning, tonight at 6 o'clock and just give them the basic breakdown. This is our main slogan. This is all you're gonna tell parents about was, this is your one chance to talk. That's announced, whenever you have your son or daughter get a hold of us. There's a couple of things I would need to add to this is that we do, for kids who worked for us in previous years, we send a Google form to them and they don't have to fill out anything on paper. The new applications do have to be picked up by the applicant. And we do cross-reference it. Yeah, handwriting to make sure the parent can do all the work for it, but I also want to put on here about we do communicate with staff to remind me, and we do not let parents sign up for it, because we've had bunch of parents try to get into our system, so they get a text message for the child to make sure the kid's awake for work, so we do make sure that it's just the kid. And I do want to mention here somewhere about our commitment to their health between the nurse and the mental health coordinator we have, so I will be adding that, but take a look at it, see if you see anything that that you notice that we should change it. Like I said, Kate and I presented this, I think, to Mr. Malloy back in 2020, a month before COVID hit. He was the only father that showed up before we hired Bill, so. So we had that sort of today. The brochure went out. I did get a few phone calls early on about they hadn't received it yet, so I asked parents, where do you live? How well do you know your postal carrier? And when you see them tomorrow, can you ask them where your blue brochure is? And so far it's been pretty quiet. Couple of little typos. The registration for, Tim caught it. The registration for Extreme is tomorrow night, the 12th, not tomorrow night, the 13th. So we did put that on all the flyers. I did send out 600 emails last week saying that registration is tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. And that you have 3 or 4 days to call us if you can't get in. Like, make sure your password's working. Because I'll be all of it off tomorrow night. I can be able to take like 3 or 4 dozen phone calls at the same time. So, and we've had staff all week at the high school. They went Monday to the middle school lunch and the Dare Hill lunch with these. And actually got Union spoke at the Dare Hill child fifth graders. And then today we're up to school, middle school and high school lunches. Handing these out, JV applications and job applications out. And they went through a lot, which is great. We came back with a lot fewer than they've ever had in the past. But that the brochure, everything's up and running. I think I did in your packet. There's not much in here, but just the minutes, obviously. I think I mentioned to you, it's also in the brochure that we are doing a National Honor Society project with Charlie Lacko. And he's Lacko.
Land cow.
So he approached us about doing a youth sports sale, which we did 10 years ago, and it was great for us. And we want to bring it back. Like we almost brought it back last year, but then soccer and baseball were doing one in the fall, so we didn't want to compete for equipment. So Charlie's doing all the lead on this. He actually, the email they sent to Jeremy and all the lacrosse sports people, he's just a great kid. And he sent this to all of them this week saying, please don't do one. Yeah, because we're gonna do it.
Well, and as I understood, the ones that they were doing, they were giving the equipment away to other communities.
yeah.
And this here is a way to raise money to keep it in the town. Number one, to keep the equipment in the town, for the kids that might need it,
Yep.
and the money in the town because they're gonna donate.
Yeah, and it's gonna go social service thing.
Right.
On behalf of the food pantry. So I like that. I actually recommend that for Charlie because they just gave us $2,000 for the jukebox. So they might actually see that return already come back, which is great. So he's gonna start. We actually got a couple of toys for tot boxes dropped off. We have one right now, and then he's gonna decorate them. They're gonna be done right center. So they're gonna do a heavy push saying from now to March 26th, drop the stuff off downtown. The door is always open down there for the teen center hours. So. And he's gonna do a school committee presentation and get on the Pat Sullivan's email list. And then we'll start pushing it too. As I mentioned last time, I'm still aiming for the Health and Rec Fair. I did reach out to Linda Feckman today saying just to get her commitment to it. Because we would do Charlie's piece, youth sports sale. Linda would do a healthy indoor, the first ever Cohasset indoor farmers market. In place of the health piece. And we would just try to we did take, the advice from last meeting where we're gonna do. As long as we have the fair, we're gonna do registration at 4 o'clock on that Sunday. And that way people can come to the fair, ask any questions they have, go home and register. And then we'll just head down there for the summer camp registrations, because, so, and there's been no questions. I mean, we're taking applications right now for kids. Everything else is going well. Linda's program's going great. I'm still trying to get used to the 4 weeks in a row. Instead of just a drop in.
Are they doing beach stickers again?
I did reach out to the town clerk 2 days ago, yesterday, and she was a little hesitant because they're trying to make it all online. But then she emailed me this morning, she says that we should be there, and she should. There was the biggest sticker sale in their history when they were here in 2019
Right.
at that corner. And even it's an educational piece, because that's what
The
she was
only
trying to do.
problem is, they had the whole, hallway blocked off for
Oh.
the line. It's like.
We're not gonna push this. I mean, Mary Goodwin's concerns about having a rec fair during
Yeah, I
COVID.
know.
So we could put them
They're
anywhere.
requiring masks?
Well, we'll see how it is in March.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, my deadline would be February 26th. I mean, if we see something and I'll ask you guys your opinions, and that's usually my day to say yes or no. And I would probably move the registration back to 1 o'clock if we didn't do the fair, because I just like to do it before any consumption starts happening on a Sunday afternoon.
It's gonna be what, that'll be final 4 weekend probably, right, or the week before final 4 weekend?
It's a week before Rotary, which is great for Linda, because Linda could actually have double duty.
Have registration
Yeah,
there.
yeah, so that's why I reached out to her about that. The only thing that I'm gonna ask for a vote, when I think I have it on the agenda, well, I guess it could be part of the agenda, which is 2023 plans is the playground program. The posting for the job recreation summer director is out. Have some applications in. We're gonna cut it off February 1st and try to interviews the first week of February. So we'll just, I'd like to get that hired, get that done. The job application deadline is February 17th, Friday before kids go to school break. So I want to try to get ahead of things a little quicker this
Do you have
year.
anybody in mind? No.
Yeah, well, that's internal and external candidates. So,
So you've identified some internals?
internal and external candidates have applied.
Oh, they already have.
Yeah, so they gone to HR first.
Yeah.
So she's sending me stuff as they come in.
Okay.
The only recommendation I have for that, and I talked to Allison, I know is on the call, I've talked to her and, is moving. And maybe just a 1 year, well, I'm sure it's gonna work out well, is moving our high five program, which is the kids going to kindergarten, it's been in our office. With what was the preschool program too. And the Osgood program was for kindergartens going into first grade, which we call the blue group. The first group that we have all day. I do wanna rotate it and bring the full day Osgood kids down to our office. The 80 kids, and move the high five kids up to the Osgood program. And there's a couple of reasons. Number one is, right now we're busing those older, the kindergarten kids down for swim lessons after afternoon swim. And the high fives are walking over. I don't see the high five swim lessons are not, I don't think as strong as they should be. So if we did move them, I wouldn't have those kids come down for swim lessons. They're young still. And the other issue too is that by breaking up, it would actually, we have that huge traffic issue we have every July where the police are after us and giving us a hard time. This would eliminate that 3 o'clock. Let's cut that with 9 o'clock in half and reduce the 3 o'clock completely to just Cherry Hill kids. The way Allison and I looked at it too was that with the high fives, they're the ones that are starting Osgood next fall. So it'd be their chance to see the school, spend a summer, a couple weeks up there learning about the new school they're going to. And the other issue too is that we get the Osgood kids who, the blue group, the present group, have been there all school year. And then they stay there all summer and then go back to first grade. Having a little switch for those guys, having come down to our office. And, we fight with Mr. Dykes, and not fight, but summer school's up there. Mr. Dykes is up there and we have limited space. So to have just a group up there, smaller group, that's gone by 1 o'clock.
Yeah, how are you gonna fit the 80 kids down here?
I'd aim for more for outside programming. I mean, the goal is always should be, I mean, we saw 250 kids down back in the day, all out here, across the street. You know, we would definitely do a tent. It'd be aimed for more of an indoor program. And if it does get hot or cold, hot or rainy, there is space up there. We can spread them out. I'd set up arts and crafts in the first floor. So the arts and crafts coordinator would be in there, like we do have an arts and crafts person for the Oscar group.
Well, wait, though, but then the staff all comes in there to like check in and check out, like all the people, all the
Through the-
staff.
Through the office, they do the office. So the arts and crafts would be by the chef, or by the kitchen.
Right.
So it'd be a segment there. It just, we don't have a lot of space at Osgood. Well, we'd have a full, the basketball court would be there for them. Playground's actually bigger. The playground at the Osgood is actually better suited for the little guys.
Smaller kids.
And just, that's Allison, we talked a little bit today, it just, try for a year, see if it works. I think it will. I talked to Sam Zappala this afternoon and, it just would solve a lot of the parking issues. We could do so many different things. We'd still need news distractors at 9 o'clock and 3 o'clock. For their Osgood parents to come in, but they're quicker entry and exit out of the car. These little guys take a little longer because most of them are car seats. So they would have the full Osgood front to unload the little guys out. And actually, at 3 o'clock, all the Deer Hill kids go to the Osgood. And that way, you see it, Katie, I mean, sometimes that's a tough getting into, and then it's right there. You pull, you have about 12 cars, and you're right there. We could legitimately have all the Deer Hill kids go to the Osgood at 3 o'clock. And have this, line
have one.
completely off the street. So that's, I mean, does anybody want to comment, Allison or Julie, or?
I think it sounds like it's worth a shot, and especially the commitment of just trying it for a year and seeing how it goes. We can pilot it. If it goes well, keep going, and if not, tweak it or swap back.
Allison or Jeff? Allison, you're muted. Allison?
She's all
Katie,
set.
everything? Any stuff, any nuts?
No, I think the same as Julie. I think that, give it a shot. To me, in theory, it sounds like it should work. And then like, you can always go back to the drawing board,
Allison's, you're there, Allison. Allison, you? I see your hand raised. I don't know if that means yes or no. Let me try this. Allison? Allison?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, there we go.
I was demoted so that I wasn't a
Sorry.
panelist anymore, so that's why I couldn't contribute. No, I just feel like you know this program like inside and out, and I think that you've really thought all of this stuff through, and so I don't feel like there's any harm in trying it for a year, and it could be a huge success, and we continue on with it. So I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, we talked about, like I said, I talked to Sam today, we were trying to think of some of the cons, and some of the cons would be the summer school issue, and Mr. Dykes' kindergarten group. How we get, but we might be able to, if we talk to them now, we might be able to have them, because they bus the kids down after summer school, or have them pay for it. And actually, Mr. Dykes at the same time, so any kindergarten kids that would go to Mr. Dykes' sports program, the school would pay for the bus to bring them both down, at summer school. And then we also talked about like the Deer Hill, if a group like, let's say Blythe's group is doing afternoon swim, and then they walk back up to the Deer Hill, and then you need it for rise. She's gonna turn around, and go all the way back. Because ideally,
Do a lot of kids sign up for the extended?
mostly, the interesting thing is mostly Osgood kids, that's what actually solved this issue too, because they'd be right here.
Okay.
But like, let's say Blythe, you need an afternoon with Blythe, we'd probably try to work out a deal where like, if she did come down for afternoon swim from 1 to 2.
That she
And then
would
she,
just
then
stay
she
down here?
walks all the way back up there and then has
Yeah,
to.
all in. You know what, she got a lot of energy, so.
So we look into that. And the other issue too is that, that's the biggest, second biggest program we have. And
Could
having
those, sorry, just before, could those kids, like, if that were to happen, like, say, like, we're gonna do afternoon swim.
Yeah.
Rather than walk all the way back up, could they just be kind of dismissed?
Yes,
or
we'd have
exit?
we'd have a walker assigned.
Right, so like, but once she's done with swimming, let's say, could she already be all set
Yeah,
up there
we-
and just go right
Right,
across?
right, so we have a
Yeah.
walker side to bring in.
Okay.
so it needs it.
Cause that would eliminate the whole
Yeah,
shuffle.
and then the other thing I look at too is that, being with that group that, it's a bigger group. Jen and I are there in the office and we're another set of eyes for the new director, so it's not just, for a new director to come in and. We could actually take in, as I talked to Allison about this today, I'm actually looking at possibly increasing the numbers a little bit. Because the biggest issue with our numbers has been the fact that we can't have this, there's too many cars. In my budget here. That you guys have, I did just we can sidetrack to there. I have 3 pages here, full-size pages. The first is a final recap of 2022. Based on every bill that we pay for, everything, so. We had a good margin, includes, some office related expenses. I know Chris wants me to include the stuff that we do during the year, the training and stuff like that. So we're, we knew we were gonna do well this year because we set the rate. For this year and not next year. So we actually had that extra. We were 1 step below minimum wage. So we set the fee based on this summer. So knew we were gonna do well. So based on the 2023 version. With some increasing. I actually thought we'd go down, but I actually, based on a few more kids, so I'm projecting. We can take a few more kids at the high five program from 64 to 70, take 1 more group. And actually going up. Well, I was gonna probably want to keep the same, it's actually pretty close to what we always get anyways. But we always have a wait list for the Deer Hill program. And I think we can go from 228 to 250. And I actually have some counselors budgeted in here too, a few more counselors. So the margin actually that we set last year. Will almost stay the same based on the fact that we're gonna take some more kids based on this model. But if you guys, I don't know if Allison, if you guys you can see the budget I sent to you from PDF. If there's any questions at all. Like I said, the payroll budget went up 20,000 based on some more work. With the coordinators, assistant directors, pre-camp to help us with the transition for a new director. And you'll see there's 2 more full-day counselors and 2 more high-five counselors.
Are you doing field trips this year?
That's our goal, yep. But the thing I have to watch out for is try to keep it 100% self-supporting. Sometimes we do them and, we lose a lot of money on them because of just the busing. The good news, this is gonna help the extreme program too, because we're not gonna need that daily shuttle for the Osgood Blue Group. And that way we can stick to 2 Cohasset bus drivers, Lisa and Kathy, who separated the duties last year, and it cost us $4,000 to use single buses for extreme. This way, Lisa and Kathy, we are dedicated to extreme bus drivers. And it would save us the $4,000 we spent this year on extreme buses by not needing one. I don't think the electric bus will be ready by July 1st. I think there'll be some training on it. But that ideally be the bus that we use for any running back and forth, because I don't want to send those things on a field trip.
Yeah.
Run out of electricity in the bus. So this is a little breakdown for that. But I would like to get a vote so we can start the process. On the change from high fives and Osgoods, so I can start getting work to the school. Because I know we need to work on summer school and give them a heads up. I think as some of you might know, they started high five summer school program last year, not realizing the high five kids were not in the building. And so they had to work on a bus, but so. The one thought I had, and I think that Allison, I talked to you about, and maybe it can't work, is that, maybe bringing summer school down to the library. But Alice, I think you mentioned that it has to be someone that has to be on school site, if I remember correctly.
Yes, it does. As far as I know, I'm not a total expert, but I'm pretty sure that they need to be doing it on school property.
Okay.
So they wouldn't be able to move it to the library or anywhere else.
Tutoring, I wonder if tutoring is different. I know that tutoring, they sometimes have the tutoring. I can ask and see if that's a possibility.
I
So,
know during the school, it's is from teaching.
Yeah.
I know if I'm tutoring, I can't tutor my students at the school.
Okay.
I have to go to a different location.
But it's just, Allison,
But I don't
is the
know how
summer
summer-
tutoring different from summer school up there? You know,
Tutoring is different just because it's a one-on-one contract sometimes with the school and the kid. So summer school tutoring probably could take place somewhere else. Like if a kid were out of school for an extended period of time during the school year, sometimes that takes place like at the kid's house if there were an illness or a hospitalization or something.
I could ask, so,
And while we're talking about it, we should also talk about any sort of counselors that the school district maybe needs to employ for us.
yeah, so I'll draft a letter, Allison, with all those, you know, here's what we're doing this summer. To give you the heads up, and I'll actually take that wording you, I think from last year that you did. Remember we got that email? And you quickly
do.
responded to me. That was actually perfect wording, when they tried to say it was our responsibility to take care of one-on-ones. And Allison, you wrote that quick paragraph, and we could reuse that again. So I'll find it and show it to you.
Okay, great.
So Tim, do you want to ask for a vote? Just,
What are we voting on?
the change, moving the.
Oh,
High-five
the
to
high-five,
Osgood
the
and
Osgood.
Osgood Blue Group,
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, so I need a motion for the plan for this summer to take high fives up, to move the high fives from Sawyer up to the Osgood School and the Osgood, the last year's Osgood kids down to Sawyer Street.
So moved.
Okay, is there a second?
Second,
All those in favor?
Hi.
Aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Yes.
And the last, I mean, I did throw in, I have a budget meeting tomorrow, so I know I showed you guys this little printout. Last meeting, and we talked about encumbrances and what our actual budget is. I did get, surprisingly, I got a budget report today, so I was able to update the 12/31/22 numbers. What our balances were in our accounts. I actually prefer the December 31st balance sheet better, because obviously. When you look at July 1, we're loaded, it's all because all the playground money's in, and you see that, you know, $300,000 or $400,000, but you know, close to $400,000 for playground. Close to $90,000 for extreme in July, because all the money's come in, but we haven't spent it yet. It's gone within, 2 months. So I actually like the December 31st number. It really shows us exactly where we stand. There is, because of the change in finance director, there is some question about whether or not they transfer money out. And where Ryan's money's coming from, his salary. So we do reimburse the town for his salary. Jenna and my salary are in the town budget. That should go forward as always. Ryan's salary, I break it down into the components of his job. And just because, if anyone has any questions, like 53D is the one, that's where any program we run outside of these big ones, all the money comes in, like running club, anything we do is 53D, all the summer stuff. Playground is specifically the summer program. Some of these are very old, like Easter egg hunt, we still from back in the day, $1.28. Band concerts, that is what it is. Youth resources is what the rec center was, so that name has never changed, so that is the rec center account. So that is anything that comes in for the rec center, for the Linda Bolster. Even any dance programs that happen down there goes into that account. And gets fun, basketball scholarship is the scholarship fund was started by a local citizen who started giving us $1,000 a year for anyone that needs it. We've used it off and on for the years, but it's climbing up there, so it's a nest egg that's if I ever need it. And it can be now, we actually got permission to use it on any program. It used to be just playground only. So if there was a child that couldn't afford to go to extreme, it comes out there. The RAD is the police course we do, which would start off with a donation from Social Service League. Fitness is when we used to do the fitness run, 7 to 9 in the morning. The Chatham Fund would give us money to staff the fitness run in the early mornings. The field is what we charge, that's where the user fees come in for soccer and lacrosse and any baseball that comes in. That pays for the porta potties, all the lights, even the basketball court pays for the basketball lights here in Beechwood. Extreme is extreme. The road base is the road base. Thanksgiving Rise is the before and after school program. And that number is not correct. That should not be 58 because we give all the money to the schools. So I got to figure out why that number. There should be a lot of transfers out there. It should be less than 14, obviously, because we're still waiting for a check from them for 35,000 for our last 2 years. So I need to, it might actually go back out. And the JMW is a Jack Willie scholarship that we give out to a student every a staff member every year. So the new column from last time, what I did was, I don't think Ryan's salary has been reallocated yet. So you see the 12/31/22, and then the real number should be less his 23 salary. So that with RW 23 is what our real number should be inside those accounts because they haven't been reallocated yet. And what I project for his salary going starting July 1 is the next column and where money comes out. If I do move around a little bit based on, basketball's done very well, because he's absorbed five different positions that we used to pay. We used to have someone there every night. We used to have somebody doing the books before the season started. So we've actually making more the last 2 years because of, well, especially last year, because he's doing all the work of other people that were there. So I increased that a little bit. So,
He has help. He doesn't do all the work.
well, I'm saying that we used to have like 5 different people doing what he does now. So, I mean, that stuff. And then the column that is unmarked a little bit is the black numbers are the accounts that are program related. So those are 287,000. The green numbers are gift accounts, which I remember I talked to you guys, and those are accounts that were gifted for people. That should not be touched, like used to buy something not related to, the race or related to the Jack Willie scholarship. So that's right now it's 69. So I looked at just going forward, I looked at, for my budgetary for next year, 2024, is that I know I need 29,000, 90,000 for Ryan because his salary goes up and his benefits go up. And I know that I did change it a little bit. I know when I saw 75%, we were actually a negative, which we're never really a negative. So 50% of all the 287 I know is going out. It's paying for Kelly's class. It's happening right now. We've already taken money in. Half of the dance money's already coming in already for the whole year. We have to pay. That $5,000 goes out every month from now to June. So that's that's not 30,000 that's going out. And also bills. It's just the typical what we pay for utilities. The photocopier, the light, we pay all the utilities downtown, gas, electricity, energy. So my real number, I know, and I know we were close. I think Tim, it was like 38. I think we did this. So this actually sounds good, right? More accurate because we've had a good fall. So we made some money this fall after that 38 was done, and also some money that we're going to make going forward. So that's my new number. That when everyone tells us that you're loaded, you got $400,000. This is the real number down here. That's more of an accurate number of what we are. So, does anybody have any questions? I know I actually found a mistake myself with Ryan's salary. Like it's marked differently for Ryan's salary is different because by time his anniversary date is August 16th. So like his basketball season, his 23 basketball season is actually coming up. Not the 24 fiscal year 24 July 1st, but I call his salary for FY23 is August to July. So it's a little funky with the basketball number. And we still owe like we owe the Chatham fund, $7,500. So that's going out. That's part of that 233,000. So I'm sorry, part of the 143,000 that's going out. So that makes sense. I know I'm throwing these numbers out at you. You guys, you three were able to see it online? the PDF? Allison,
Yes.
Yes,
Yep.
thanks, Ted.
I mean, is there anything that, and like I said, it's good for you guys to look at this now. If there's anything that you see that you have a question mark, it's good for me to know before I sit down with Chris and the new finance director tomorrow. If there's anything you want me to reword or,
What is the line item PG fund slash?
that's the 25,000 we said we pulled out to donate towards the Milken Field shed. But it's actually been absorbed a little bit with some of the money for the playground donations for Beechwood. That was also a donation. That's where we used to do we used to sidetrack like Deer Hill fundraiser for the playground.
So you don't have it under gift account, you don't have it under gift accounts because it's already.
Yeah, it's sort of separated. It's a little separated, so I could put it in there, that's right.
You and I will be having a spreadsheet course.
This thing is actually about 4 pages long, because it's shut out that way.
That's fine, we can.
Yeah, we'll talk.
Yeah, we can make,
I'll take the bit, but
we can make this in English.
yes. My biggest thing here is to show that, everyone, like, glad contract is great. You got $1 million in your account. What happens is every spring town meeting, the town has an article that has that $950,000 for rec. That is just a spending cap. So people just assume that we get $950,000 from the town. And even people in town hall can't still think that, people who work there think that, when you see that in the spring town, the warrant, it's a cap. So we're not allowed to spend over $950. Now, back in the days when we had, as you see here, back in, before COVID, and actually before July 19, we'd have, as you see, like $107,000, and we would go to ROTS. And then starting the playground, we were close. We were coming close to $1 million. I think we're at 850. 732. I mean, it's a number there. We're getting close to back to $1 million business. Because, a lot of kids, it's gonna happen with Rise the next school year, but as playground goes up and extreme goes up, that cap is there. We're not allowed to spend over $950. That's all that is a spending cap. It's not. That's not our $950,000 we have to get. So when they want us to pay for something, we try to explain to them that we can't touch any of the green numbers, because it's not fair to buy a rake when some people, the parents donate money for a Jack scholarship, for a college scholarship, and take money out of that to give to something else. So and even the money for the scholarship fund, which is gradually increasing. I mean, that was earmarked by a parent to pay for kids who are camp. But yeah, Tim, you and I, we can do that. So any questions? I mean, do you guys have any issues or?
I just have one question for you. We were talking before about a lot of the stuff that goes on the backfield there next to the basketball courts and all this stuff. What's the latest with the wall? Have anybody spoken about moving it to Deer Hill?
I don't know. I mean, the funny thing is the lines are still there. They provide, the boys put enough paint down there. You can, if you ever want to swing by and see what the wall would look like, how big it is and how it would show. The lines I thought it'd be gone after the first rainstorm. But if you ever down there, the lines are still there. It shows the Situate dimensions, which was the smallest wall, and I still think we should, if they are gonna put a wall there, have to go flush and just have one sided to save them half the money. Yeah, no, I think Deer Hill is a better idea. I don't know if that's gonna be part of the Activitas' new plan based on our recommendations. So, Julie, have you been, I know Tim and I talked about this today. Did you put your name in as to be part of that committee for fields?
I did. And since I did, I have not heard anything from Michelle about it. And actually, I wrote to her this morning and said, I have a rec meeting this evening. Has a date been set for a first meeting, and I haven't heard back yet. So no news there.
Okay, I guess she's not feeling well.
Yeah, she's not feeling well, I guess.
So I know she had a Zoom today with Activitas, so she probably did that from home, so maybe, I left a message for her myself today, just asking her for an update.
Oh, that's too bad. I didn't know that she was out. When I hear something, I'll let you know. Where was the proposed location for Deer Hill? Was there a proposed location for Deer Hill? Where would it be?
I would recommend, third base side between, up against it, I think they should be one-sided. If you look at, so it'd be against the woods, or if they wanted two sides, they could do it behind the backstop. I'll have to look up, I'll have to show you a map. It's probably the best way to look at it, just to, the little corner there. That way the kids could use it during recess. We could use it for summer camp. They could use it during the during the lacrosse program, so.
Okay, like tucked in the corner there, sort of beside or behind the baseball diamond.
Yeah, I always thought it was gonna be one-sided, so it'd just be along the fence line.
I think you're the only one that thinks that.
I disagree, I think two-sided.
No, I think
You were
like David
right.
Tynes is saying
Yeah.
that. So, I mean, that remains to be seen, I guess.
You're right.
One side would solve the problem with the kids hiding behind it when recess is over.
Well, if they're just gonna run behind the wall into the woods, right? The woods are right there.
Yeah, I think there's an old, very old fence back there, and I don't think anybody's gonna.
Well, no matter whether we want it to have two sides or not, a wall has two sides. So there will be somewhere for them to hide behind it, wherever we.
Yeah, true, good point.
Oh, anyway, funny.
Are there any, okay, so that's kind of 2023. How about committee reports? Jeff, anything from the Harbor Committee, Open Harbor? I mean, Open Harbor, the Harbor Committee.
Yeah, we had a pretty lively meeting Monday of this week. So there's a couple of things going on there. One interesting thing, we had an update from Eamon O'Gara, who's part of the group that's, and Susan Hoadley, who are part of the group that are developing the Atlantica property and the Lobster Pound building there. And so they gave an update on what the plans are and the proposal is for that property. And you've probably heard it's kind of a retail space with a restaurant and a coffee shop. And one of the livelier parts of the conversation was the developers are proposing to have a lobster tank. So the business of the Lobster Pound is essentially kaput. And what the builders are sort of proposing is that they will have a space that will have a lobster tank so that, theoretically local lobstermen could store lobsters in there. But it's going to be smaller than what, they've been using over the last couple of years in that Lobster Pound building there. And so there was a lot of lively debate about how, if we built something that was usable, then lobstermen would be able to return to the approach they took a few years ago where they were, storing the majority of their lobsters there. And that's not really what the developers are looking to do. So there was a lot of sort of, you're just looking to check a box and no, we're not, we're actually doing the best we can and back and forth. And so, I think that the upshot there is that, they're going to put a lobster tank in, and it's because it's as big as they have room for. And then the lobstermen are going to be able to use it to its capacity. There was a lot of conversation about that. And the other thing was the launch on Parker Ave. So they hit a little bit of a bump. They ran into some ledge. They're replacing the Parker Ave boat ramp, and they had to kind of take a different approach because they ran into much ledge. And so it's kind of unclear. It's not supposed to have a big delay in the date, which is the end of February, beginning of March, when it's supposed to be up. So they're still hoping to be able to kind of pivot to their approach and still make that date so that there's no threat to boats trying to go in the spring. And I think that's those are kind of the highlights of the meeting early this week.
John is unavailable tonight, so skip open space. Allison, anything about, on Safe Harbor?
No, sorry, no report, except that Nicole did find somebody who is gonna be kind of taking over for her as the sort of face out front, and she is gonna be going to part-time towards the end of the year, which is really great for her, but she was so fabulous at her role, so that's it.
All right. Anyone have anything else to talk about? All right. Motion to adjourn. Second? Anyone? Second? And all those in favor? Aye.
Bye.
Aye.
Excellent.
Who seconded
All right,
it?
thank you, guys.
Who seconded it? Missed it.
Katie was the second.
Oh, Katie, some action tonight. Thank you.
Loud enough.
I love it. Thanks so much, everybody. And happy
Thank you, okay.
happy
Thank you,
New Year
guys.
to all of you.
Happy
You
New Year.
too.
See ya.
Sorry, we're here, we have a lot of candy left over.
I am so disappointed not to be there to be eating with all of you. That looked